Ma'am, good evening, ma'am. Navata, ma'am, good evening.
Good evening, ma'am.
Ma'am, you can start, ma'am.
Yeah, sure. Good evening, everybody. So we were discussing questions on recursion, right? Recursion is finished and storage classes, right? So there are three questions still pending. We will solve them and then go to the next concept, that is static and dynamic scope. Okay? Yes. The question number is 7. 7, 8, 9 are pending. I think I gave you homework. Let us start. Question number 7. Consider the following C function. Find f of 1. I think everybody has the link for Google Drive, right? Please, one of you can copy the link to chat box so that everybody can access. I think new students have joined yesterday. Please access the file and take the file 3 storage classes. And from that, we are solving question number 7. So the function is like this: int f of int n static. This is a static variable. Int I equal to 1 if n greater than or equal to 5, n is equal to n plus I. The next line is not related to if, only this statement is related to f. Okay, then return f of n. That's all. Now we have to find f of n. Find f of 1. Right? So when we pass 1, this 1 will be copied into the formal parameter. As I told you, every formal parameter is a local variable for that function. So you need to create a memory for that variable. So the parameter n is created into which 1 is being copied. This is a static variable. F is a function which we are calling again in the body, which means it's a recursion. We are using a static variable in recursion. I told you each and every function call we will be writing like this, but whenever you have a static variable, you have to write on top of all the function calls, because all these function calls will be touching the same static variable. So I is not created individually for each and every function call, static variable. It is created only once and all the function calls will be touching the same variable. Okay? And that is initialized to 1. Fine. If n greater than or equal to 5, is n greater than or equal to 5? No. So that statement will not be executed. I plus plus, so I will be incremented. So it is to return f of I or n. This is n equal to, I think I put the code. Let me correct the function. It is like this. If n is greater than or equal to 5, then return n. Only this line is associated with f. N equal to n plus I plus plus. These two are anyway executed and then finally returning f of n. We missed this line. This is not associated with f. Okay, now if n is greater than or equal to 5. Now it is not greater than or equal to 5. So this line will not be executed now. N equal to n plus I. N is n plus I. What is n? This one. 1 plus I. I is also 1. 1 plus 1 is 2. Update n. Okay, done. Then I plus plus. I is static I. So incremented. Then return f of n. What is n value? It is 2. So pass 2 to it. So by this, seeing this function call, we will jump to f of 2. Again, 2 will be copied to the formal parameter. So formal parameter is a local variable, so memory gets allocated again, into which 2 is copied. If 2 greater than or equal to 5 is false, so we will execute n equal to n plus I. What is n? 2. What is I? Already 2. So 2 plus 2 is 4. Update n. I plus plus. So I gets updated. Then return f of n. What is n already? It is 4. So call this f of 4 again. N is created, copied with 4. N greater than or equal to 5 is false. So we will not. So the return statement will not be executed. I hope you people understood the static int I am every time I am ignoring only in the first function call I have created the memory, and all the other function calls of f they will ignore this declaration line I explained you last week. Okay, those who have not attended that call, please understand. Static variable gets created only when the function is being called for the first time. Okay, from second time onwards, the declaration line will be ignored and the same variable will be used again and again. Okay, now we are in this function call. So 4 greater than or equal to 5 is false. So n equal to n plus I. N is 4 plus I is 3. 7. Update in n. Okay, then I plus plus I becomes 4. Then return f of n. N is 7. Okay, jump to the next function call f of 7. N is created, 7 is being copied. 7 greater than or equal to 5 is true now. So return n. Return n. N value is 7. So return 7 to the calling environment. So f of 7 value is 7. Return 7. Return the same value to the calling environment. Then again return 7. Return it to the calling environment. Finally return 7. So the answer of f of 1 is 7. Okay. This is a simple question. We have solved but more complicated questions last week. This is a simple question. All formal parameters and local variables, we will be creating local memory and we will be working on them. But if there is a static variable, it will be created only once and we write it on top of all the function calls. And all the functions will be touching the same variable. Okay? Question? Question number 8. Consider the following C function. What is the value of f of 5? Question number 8. Int f of int n. Static variable is there. Static int r is equal to 0. If n is less than or equal to 0, return 1. If n greater than 3, r is equal to n, return f of n minus 2 plus 2. Once you come out of the block, return f of n minus 1 plus r. That's all. This is the code. What is the value of f of 5? 8th question. What is the value of f of 5? F of 5, same process. We are calling the function with 5. So our 5 will be copied into the formal parameter n. And then there is a static variable declaration. Yes, first time we have called the function. So that static variable will be created just now and is initialized with 0. If n less than or equal to 0 is false, so this line will not be executed. And if n greater than 3, yes, n is greater than 3, then I will execute this block. R is equal to n. So whatever is the value of n, that you copy into R. So R has become 5. Then return, this is return f of n minus 2 plus 2. Now you understand. I am not writing the pending line after the line now because this line is in return. So once I execute and get the value of this, obviously I will return from here itself. I will not execute this line, return f of n minus 1 plus r. Because this is a return statement, it is not just a function call. So from here itself I will return, so I am not writing the pending line. Okay. So f of n minus 2, what is n minus 2? 5 minus 2 is 3. So jump to this function called f of 3. N value is copied with 3. N less than or equal to 0 is false. If n greater than 3, is 3 greater than 3? False. So if block is skipped and continue from there, it is not else statement. If it is not true, I will continue from here, which is return of f of n minus 1 plus r. What is n minus 1? 3 minus 1, 2. Plus r value I am not substituting now. I told you r value, especially when it is static variable, you should not substitute now. Because in the next function called f of 2, if I modify r value during backtracking, you need to substitute r value. By then r value may be modified. But if you substitute r value as 5, that's a wrong answer. You will get the wrong answer. Okay? That's why I am telling you again and again. Whenever you see the function call, you need to jump. Don't substitute the expression values because that is not C. Compiler is executing the code. It is R, that's all. I don't even look at what is present after that. This is a function call, I will jump as per the priority. F of 2, n value is copied with 2. Okay, n less than or equal to 0 is false. N greater than 3 is also false. So again the same line. Return f of n minus 1, 2 minus 1, 1 plus r. I am not substituting r value again. Then f of 1 call. N value is copied with 1. This is false. This is false. So again the same. Return f of n minus 1 plus r. Now f of 0, n value is 0. 0 less than or equal to 0 is true. So return 1. Now we will return 1. So to the calling environment, we are returning 1. So this is the function call which is returning 1. So substitute there. Plus, now I will look at this r. What is r value now? R value is 5. Okay, fine. Fortunately, r was not modified in the next function calls, that's all. 1 plus 5 is 6. That will be returned to the calling environment. This is the calling environment. Plus r. R is again 5. Otherwise, this function call would have modified. If the code is not like that, r can be modified here. So updated value would have been used there. So 6 plus 5 is 11. Use this here plus r. R is again 5, which is 16. Use this here. 16 plus 2 is 18. That is the value of f of 5. Answer is 18. Answer D. Only in this case R was modified. Okay, but actually speaking, R can be modified anywhere, even here. After this block, I would have said R plus plus and then return statement. Then you will get R value as a different. Here you will have 5, here you will have 6, here you will have 7. Because you will execute that and then the function call, that's all. So be careful with static variable when you are in recursion. We should not substitute during forward jumps. We should substitute only during backward jumps. Function call is a priority, so we will jump immediately for the function call. Okay. Yes, last question. Question number 9. Consider the following C function given below. Int f, int j. Static variable is there. Static int I equal to 50. Local variable k is also present. If I is equal to j, printf something. K is equal to f of I. Return 0. Else return 0. Okay. Which one of the following is true? The function returns 0 for all values of j. Just go through the options. The function prints string something for all values of j. The function returns 0 when j is 50. The function will exhaust the runtime stack or run into an infinite loop when j equal to 50. Option A and B are talking about all values of j, but C and D are talking about j value for a particular value 50. Let me check what is happening for j equal to 50, which means they are asking like int f of 50, which means j value is 50. Static variable is created, it's a recursion f function call. So static variable created, I copied with 50. Also there is a local variable for this function called k. If I is equal to j, I value is 50, j value is 50 in this function call, both are equal. Yes, if they are equal, print something, okay, print it. Then k is equal to f of I. What is I value? 50, f of 50. By seeing the function call, I will jump to the next function call. Of course, there is a return statement which is pending. So f of 50 again. Again j is copied with 50 only, I is still 50. Both are again equal. So I will print something. Again k is equal to f of 50 only. Which means in each and every function call I am calling f of 50, f of 50, f of 50. What is this? Do we say this as an infinite loop? I told you. If it is function calls repeated again and again, we don't call it as infinite loop, because every function call, whenever you are doing a function call, an activation record is prepared and pushed into the runtime stack. So this function call will go inside. And during this execution, there is a function call, so this one will go inside. Like this, definitely runtime stack, there is a capacity for it. Okay, once it is full, you will get runtime errors. So either stack is full. If you have unlimited memory, then you will go for an infinite loop. So what is the answer? When j is 50, the function will exhaust the runtime stack or run into an infinite loop when j is equal to 50. So when we tested for j equal to 50, this is what is happening. Okay. So the answer is D. So that is about storage classes. So we have completed basics of C programming. Then in functions we have finished recursion and storage classes also. The next concept is static and dynamic scope. So we will finish that today and then we will start parameter passing techniques. So there are two more concepts under functions: static and dynamic scope and parameter passing techniques. Static and dynamic scope. C programming follows only static scope. Then why we are learning dynamic scope also? Because in the syllabus of GATE, it is not C programming. Syllabus is not just C programming. It is programming languages concepts and data structures. This is the syllabus, which means we need to know the concept supported by different programming languages. Syntax wise, C is fine because these days they are giving the syntax similar to C, but in olden days, in all old papers, we will see Pascal pseudocode. Okay. Now, when we are solving gate questions for this, we will see the pseudocode as Pascal syntax. So there are languages which support dynamic scope, and there are gate questions on that also. That's why we are learning. But C programming follows only static scope. Okay. And in the storage classes, I explained you the scope. scope of a variable for auto, register, static and extra. There I have explained you what is the meaning of static scope, and now I am explaining once again. Just see this. Int a equal to 5, b equal to 6, c equal to 7. These are global variables. There is a main function in which I am declaring int a once again. I am calling this as 10, b as 20. Okay, and there are some statements. After that, I just started a block. It is not if statement or while statement or first and nothing, just a flower bracket, which means a new block has started, a new scope is created. Okay, it's possible. But in that block, can I create a variable like this? Int a equal to some 35. Printf statement. I am printing a, b, c. Once I come out of this block, again I am printing a, b, c. Is this allowed? Can I start a new block? Can I declare variables in C programming? Yes, we can. It's not that we will create local variables only at the starting of a function. It need not be. At the starting of any block, we can create variables. We can declare variables. Okay. So this is how main function is. Also, there is a new function called f, in which I have declared again some c equal to 70. Again, there is a block in which I declared a, which is 50. Okay. Then printf abc. Once I come out of this block, there is again printf abc. Let us see what are the values that gets printed. These are global variables a, b, c. Values are 5, 6, 7. Okay. This is main function. Every function has its own memory space, right? In which variables a and b are declared. They are 10 and 20. Okay, after some lines there is a new block. In this block, again I can declare a variable, and of course it is a new scope. Obviously it gets created, initialized with 35. But during the execution, when I write a line printf abc, if you don't follow the syntaxes, okay, printf abc, if I access a variable a, which a it prints? Obviously it tries to access the variable which is declared within this block, because I am accessing a in this block, right? This printf line is present in this block. So obviously it will try to access the variable which is present in this block. Do I have a? Yes, I have. So it will try to access that a. So 35 gets printed for a. Okay, coming to b. Obviously it will look for this block's b. Do I have b in this block? No, I don't have. Then C follows static scope. It says go to its outer block. Its outer block B. Never ever say global B. No, it will not access global B. The line is like this. Whenever you are accessing a variable, we will try to access the variable which is declared within that block. If it is not declared over there, it will try to access the variable which is declared in its outer block. Its outer block. Now this is a block. For this block, this is the outer block. Flower brackets will decide the block. Okay. And for f function, this is the f functions block, in which there is one more block. Now these two blocks are present in the global block. Okay. Now, whenever we are trying to access a variable, whether it is for updation or for accessing, okay, it will always try to access the variable which is declared in that block. If it is present, yes, that's fine. If it is not present, then it will try to access its outer blocks variable. So B is not declared here, so it will access the outer blocks B. Outer block is main. So mains B it will try to access. So the value of B will be 20. Okay, then coming to C. I am accessing a variable in this block. But did I declare the variable in this block? No. If I have declared, then it would have used that. But I have not declared C. So it will come out of this block and C and try to access the variable which is present here. So do I have C in the outer block? No, I don't have C here. Then it goes to its outer block. Its outer block is obviously global. This outer block is not f function, right? This outer block is global program. I told you. Oh, I didn't write it. This complete thing is one particular block. Okay. So this is total block in which main is one block, f is one block. Main also has one internal block, f also has one internal block. So whenever I am accessing a variable, I am looking for the local declaration. If it is local to that block, okay, not local to that function, local to that block. If it is there, yes, I am trying to access that variable. And if it is not declared over there, and I am accessing its outer blocks variable, but C is not defined over here. So then I will come to its outer blocks variable. Its outer blocks variable is obviously global variable. So that is 7. C value in the global is 7. So that is this printf. Now once I come out of this block, I told you in the storage classes, especially when they are auto variables, once the control leaves the block, okay, then obviously the variables that were declared in the block are dead. The memory is released. They are not available anymore. Once the control comes out of this block, this A is not available anymore. Because you are in this block now. You have come out of this block, now you are in this block. So when you try to access A in that block, so the variable A is, you are in main function. So main is 10. B, do I have B in main? Because I am executing this printf from main. So B is main. Main's B, which is 20. Okay, fine. Then C, do I have C declared in main function? No, it's not available. Then you will go to its outer block. You cannot go inside, okay? That's not possible. The control has already come out and the variables are dead from this environment. So obviously you will come out of this block and check variable C here. This is a global one, so global C, 7. Okay, then for example, there is a function called for f, so I jump to f function, and in that I have a variable C declared in which is 70. Again, there is a block where I have 50. Now in that block I am accessing ABC. What gets printed here? A. I have a locally declared A which is 50. B. I don't have locally declared B in this block, so its outer blocks B. But here also I don't have a local B. Okay. Even in this block I don't have B declared, so its outer block. For this outer block is global program. So globals B, which is 6. Then C. I don't have C locally declared, so I will come out of its outer block. In its outer block, do I have C? Yes. Then I will access that. So C prints 7. Once you come out of this block, here, this A is not present anymore. It's dead. Now here, ABC. If I print ABC, what are printed? A value, do I have A declared in F? No. So outer blocks A is global. B, I don't have B declared in this block. So outer blocks B, which is again global B. Coming to C, yes, I have a locally declared C here. Okay, the value is 70. This is called static scope. C follows static scope. This will be the output if you execute. Fine. Which means static scope says whenever you are accessing a variable, these are the statements. Whenever you are accessing a variable, first it will try to access the variable which is declared in that block. If it is not present over there, it will try to access the outer blocks variable. If it is not present there also, its outer blocks variable. Which means if you access a variable, it is trying to access the locally declared variable. If it is not present there, it will try to access the variable in its nearest enclosing block. This is the right statement. Nearest enclosing block. For this nearest enclosing is this one. If it is not present, this one. Nearest, whichever is nearest where that variable is declared is the variable that we are accessing. That's all. This is the static scope statement. Whenever you access a variable, First, we'll try to access a variable which is declared in that block, not function, in that block. If it is not declared over there, we will try to access the variable in its nearest and closing block. Is static scope clear? C follows static scope. Now we'll see dynamic scope, which is supported by different programming languages. Of course, C doesn't follow dynamic scope rule. Because C follows static scope, I have written the code in C syntaxes, but let me write this in pseudocode format or Pascal code syntax. Because all the old date papers gave the syntaxes in the form of Pascal. Don't have to worry, I gave you the syntax, how the program looks, right? You just concentrate on the logic, not on the syntax. Okay, Pascal code generally starts like this: program. You can give a name, sometimes they don't even give a name because it is like pseudocode, that's all. If there are any variables, we will declare variables by using var keyword, a, b variables which are integers. So this is the declaration. So variables are declared for the program. And the actual execution of the program starts here, which is with begin, end. So the actual program statements lies between this here. Finished. So the execution of the program starts here and ends here. Whatever statements that you are writing here, this is the sequence in which it is executed. Okay. So I can write like this: a equal to 2, b equal to 5. Okay. You don't have to follow the syntax, semicolons and all, nothing is there. Okay. But then, if you have any function calls or procedure calls, there can be procedures and functions that we will declare here. Okay. Procedure. If it is a procedure, I'll start with procedure keyword. If it is a function, I'll start with function keyword. That's all. Procedure. Procedure name is PQR, for example. Okay. For which I am passing a parameter called a. And that is also integer. Because it's a procedure, it doesn't return anything. Difference between procedure and function. Procedure doesn't return anything. Function returns a value. Okay, but this procedure can have its own local variables. They are declared here. And the variable name is x comma y, integer. And the actual code for this procedure is begin and it lies here. Okay, the code lies here. Let me give some space. Then function. If there is a function, I'll call that function from here with the keyword function. You can give any name, f. If it takes a parameter, you can give parameter name, integer. It must function, right? It must return some value. I'm saying it returns an integer. If there are any local variables, declare with var keyword. Variable name is b, integer. It's a local variable b, which is integer. The code is like this: begin, end. The code is present here. It must return a value, right? How do we return a value? By using function name. Function name colon equal to is nothing but return. This is nothing but return. Function name, whatever is the function name, that we are trying to assign a value for that function name, which means we are returning that value to the calling environment. This is what we discussed, right? Syntax wise or pseudocode wise. Fine. They generally give like this. In the following pseudocode, they will give syntax like this. You should understand. Program execution starts here and here. Some procedures and functions can be declared here. And these are the variables on which we are actually working. These are the variables of the program. These are just procedures and functions in which local variables are declared. This is local to this function. These are local to this function. But these are the variables for the actual program. Okay. So So you just declare them and start execution from here. This is the syntax. Yes. Okay. Now, what is static scope? Okay. Let me write a procedure here also instead of function. I'm saying one more procedure. Its name is ABC, capital ABC name, and it is taking a parameter called x, integer, and there is a local variable a, integer, begin, end. Okay. For example, from this main program, I am calling function pqr first, and it is expecting a parameter, right? I am passing parameter as a plus b, for example. You can just pass a also, that's fine. Just some value. And after that, I will call ABC also. And that is also expecting a parameter. That can be anything. Now I am passing b to it. There is no meaning for this program. Just to explain you, I am writing. Okay. From this main program, I am calling PQR first and then ABC. Okay. In the PQR, I am calling. This is an execution, right? This one will get a value with a function call. But x and y are local variables. I am initializing them to 1 and 2. And this one is calling, this procedure PQR is calling ABC, for example, ABC by passing y. There are some print statements. Okay, I'm saying print A, X, Y. Okay, in the procedure ABC, there is a local variable. I'm initializing it to 10. Okay, and already it will get a value from the procedure call. Okay, then what I'm saying is A is equal to A plus X. Then print A comma X, something like this I have written. That's all. Now, this is the actual program. Okay, the actual execution starts here and ends here. But this is a procedure. So it's a block. And this is one more procedure. So this is a different block. Now you should see. I am executing the program. Variables are declared. Execution started. I called PQR function with a value A. So A value is 2. So I will go to PQR by copying value 2 into this local variable. I told you formal parameters are local variables. So the memory gets created for this A and the 2 value will be copied into A. These variables, local variables x and y will also be declared. So memory gets allocated for x and y also. So here I have A also, x and y also. Now, x equal to 1, y equal to 2 means local x and local y. I have them, so I will assign the values for the locals. Then I call ABC of y. When I come to ABC of y with y value is 2, I will copy this 2 to this x. And then there is a local variable A declared. Initialize to 10. Okay, then A equal to A plus x. This A, local A. Whenever I try to access a variable, I try to access the locally declared variable. Yes, I have it. A plus x. So A is already 10, x is 2. So 12 will be placed in A. Print A and x. Okay, fine. So A value is 12, x value is 2. They are printed. For example, if I modify this line to A equal to A plus x plus b, for example, x plus b. So A is locally declared A, okay, 10. X is locally declared x, which is 2. B, I don't have locally declared b in this block. Question says follow the static scope and then what is the answer? So static scope says whenever you don't have a locally declared variable, you should try to access the outer blocks variable. For this block, outer block is this program, main program. For this is not the enclosing block. Okay, if this block is present in this block, so you will try to access B of the main program. So 5 will be used. You may have, for example, you may have variable B here also, but this B we are not using here because for this outer block is global program. You will access global programs B, which is 5. And then accordingly you will calculate. Okay. For example, I have B here also. I said B here. B value is 2. And I am passing B. Okay. Though I have B here, when I am executing this one, I have access B value from the outer block, which is global program. I didn't use this B. I used global programs B. This is static scope. So in the question, they will give you the code like this. First question is, what is the output if you follow static scope? Second question, what is the output if you follow dynamic scope? Okay, static scope says, whenever you access a variable, first you go for the locally declared variable. If it is present, fine, no confusion at all. If it is not present, if it is not locally declared, then you have to access the outer blocks variable, outer block. This is what you need to remember. If it is not present there, you should go to its outer block. In this case, there is no outer block for that. For example, you have used some C. I said A plus X plus C. C is not declared here also. In the outer block also, C is not declared. Obviously, it's a compilation. Okay. So the program checks for all that. Okay. In static scope, always priorities for the locally declared variable. If it is not defined over there, it's outer blocks variable. That's all. Just one line. It's outer block. It's outer block. If it is not defined there, it's outer block. Same thing, if it is dynamic scope, what is the answer? Same program. Everything is same. Okay. Let us start executing. A equal to 2. B equal to 5. Okay. PQR A. A value is 2. 2 will be used here because in the main program, obviously main C I will use. 2 will be copied to the locally declared A. Yes, declared. Then I have two variables X and B. Start executing. X value is 1, B value is 2. Okay, fine. Call ABC of B. B value is 2. So I am calling ABC function with value 2. So 2 will be copied into the formal parameter X. Okay, fine. Then there is a locally declared variable A also. Start executing. A equal to 10. Now A equal to A plus X plus B. What should I write? A value I am accessing, which is locally declared A, fine. X, I have locally declared X, this is also fine. But B, do I have B in this declaration? No, it's not declared. Then, now I am talking about dynamic scope. Dynamic scope says, whenever you access to a variable, first priority is for the locally declared variable, similar to static, no confusion. First priority is for the locally declared. If you do not find the locally declared variable, then you should access the variable from its calling environment, not the outer block. Outer block is static scope. You should access this B from its calling environment. I am executing ABC now. Who called ABC now? PQR call. Correct? See, because of this call, I came here now. So, because you do not have the locally declared B, you should go to its calling environment and access B. Its calling environment is PQR now. So its B I will access. So this B is 2. So I will use this. So it is 14. It's updated and accordingly it prints. Okay, execution completed. So I will go to the calling environment. I will complete this procedure also by printing this. This is also finished. I will go to its calling environment, this one. But I have one more, right? One more here. ABC call is there. I just executed this one. Now with this one, I will jump to ABC with the B value. B value is 5. which is copied to x. Okay, x value will be 5 now. Okay, then a is a locally declared variable. Okay, initialized to 10. Now the same line, a value is 50, x value is 5. What is b now? B is not declared locally. So which B I should access? The scope says dynamic scope. If it is dynamic scope, what is the answer? So B is calling environments B. Dynamic scope always says calling environments B. Who called ABC now? Who is the calling environment now? Because of this call I came here, right? So who called? Main program called. Global program called ABC. So global programs B I will access. Global programs B is 5. So total value will be 20 and that value gets printed. Execution completed, go back. That's all. Program also ends. This is the difference between static scope and dynamic scope. Let me reframe the statements once again. I'm talking about static scope first. Whenever you access a variable, first priority is for the locally declared variable. If it is not locally declared, it will try to access its outer blocks variable. If it is not defined there, its outer block. So we are saying nearest enclosing blocks variable. That is static scope. Dynamic scope says whenever you access a variable, first priority is for the locally declared variable. If it is not declared there, then we will access the variable of its calling environment. If it is not declared there also, its calling environment. So we will go to the calling environment. Okay. So static scope, just by seeing, if I access a variable, I will understand. If it is not declared here, it is out of block. Clear? Just by seeing the program, I will understand static scope. But dynamic scope, you need to execute and see. Who called ABC? When ABC is being called from here, I have access B of this. When I called ABC from global program, I have access global programs B. So it is calling environments B. That is dynamic scope. Is that clear? Fine. Of course, during execution, during tracing, you will not have any such problems. Only thing is you need to understand. Static scope says locally declared. If it is not declared, outer block. Dynamic scope says locally declared. If it is not declared, calling environments. That's all. For the same program, I will trace the program. I will trace this program and explain you how you have to give the output. Okay, this is how we will be solving all the gate questions by following this method. Okay, obviously always the program starts with global environment, right? So this is global environment. Let me start global environment. Variables are A and B. So declare A and B here. Start execution. Program execution always starts here and ends here. So start A equal to 2. This is global program statements. A equal to 2. Obviously globals here. Then B equal to 5. Obviously globals B. Then call PQR of A. A is a variable I am accessing. Obviously I try to access the local A, which is 2. Okay, so pass 2. I will jump to PQR's environment. So I am saying this is PQR's environment. Okay. Of course, after this I have one more call which I will do later. Okay. First, with this call, I jump here, PQR environment has a formal parameter. Formal parameter is a local variable. First, you create that. Variable name is here. Into which this 2 will be copied. Values are copied to the formal parameters, right? Okay, copied. Then, there are 2 locally declared variables, X and B. X and B. Okay, declared. Start execution. X equal to 1, B equal to 2. X is 1, B is 2. X is locally declared X. Yes, it is present. So assign. B is locally declared B. B is available. So place 2 for that B. Okay, then call ABC of B. Call ABC of B. If I access B, which B? locally declared B available, so I will access that B. 2. Okay. Of course, there is a statement which I need to execute, but once I execute this and come back, that's when I will look at this. AXB. Okay. This ABC call. This is ABC environment. I am coming with 2, so there is a formal parameter in ABC which is X, local declared variable 2. This 2. Okay. Okay. Then ABC. There is a locally declared variable A also. Okay, A. Start execution. A equal to 10. A is locally declared, A is available. So that is assigned with 10. Then A equal to A plus X plus B. A is locally declared A, 10. X is locally declared X is there, 2. B. I don't have locally declared B now. Okay, then I will look at the question. The question is about static scope. They are asking me what is the answer if you follow static scope. So I am solving static scope now. So static scope says when you access B which is not locally declared, you will access B from its outer block. Who is the outer block for ABC? ABC's outer block is global program. This box is present in this box, not in PQR's box. PQR box is a different one. ABC box is a different one, which are present in the global box. So its outer block is global. So global programs B will be accessed. Global programs B value is 5. Okay, so total 17. 17 will be the value of A. Fine. Execution is done, right? And there is a print statement which is print A comma X. What are A and X values? A is 17, X is 2. Okay. Execution is completed. Go back to the calling environment. So I came from here. So I will jump to the same line. Return to the same line. And continue this one. Continue. Print A, X, B. In this environment, what are A, X and B? A here is 2. X here is 1. B here is 2. This execution is also finished. Go to its calling environment. Okay, jump. See, when I jump from here, this environment is erased, not available in the memory anymore. When this function is also finished, I went back, so this environment is also erased. They are not available anymore. Okay, go back and continue. Yes, continue. Now there is a call for ABC of B once again. So I will create ABC environment once again and execute. Okay. So I will come to ABC environment. By then it is not available. Sorry, it is already erased. I am not erasing now. Okay. So ABC of B. B value here is 5. So you will copy 5 into the formal parameter of ABC X. Copied with 5. There is a local variable A also. Yes, declared. A equal to 10. Then A equal to A plus X plus B. What is A? Local A. What is X? Local X. Because they are available. But B, I don't have locally declared B. So static scope. I am solving static scope, right? So static scope says it's outer blocks B. So ABC is present in global program. So global programs B I will access. So global programs B is 5. So total value is 20. Updated. Print A and X. Okay, print A and X. A value is 20, X value is 5. Execution completed, go back. Now global program execution is also finished. So we stop execution. We executed all the statements. Now reached end. So we stop. So this is static scope. Priority is given for the locally declared variable. If it is not present, it's outer blocks variable. Shall we take the same code and execute for dynamic scope? Then what is the answer? So those answers are for static scope. 17 to 212 20, 5. That is for static scope. If I do it for the dynamic scope, Where is this? Or shall I write this side? Program execution always starts here and ends here. Okay. I am taking global environment first. This is global environment. Variables are declared A and B. Initialized with 2 and 5. Okay, these two lines are executed. Now call PQR of A. So A is this A, obviously, because I'm in this environment, I will access that environment C. So I will jump to PQR environment by taking A value as 2. That will be copied to the formal parameter. PQR's formal parameter is A, into which this 2 will be copied. Then there are two locally declared variables, X and B. Now start execution. X equal to 1, B equal to 2. X is local X, B is local B. Assign. Then call ABC of B. What is B? Obviously, I am in this environment, so I will access this B, local B, 2. Call ABC with 2. So jump to ABC environment by taking value 2, which is copied to the formal parameter, which is local variable, copied with 2. Then there is a locally declared variable A also, A equal to 10. So local A is initialized to 10. Then A equal to A plus X plus B. A is local A, 10. X is local X, 2. But B, I don't have local B declared. We are solving dynamic scope. So dynamic scope says whenever you don't have a locally declared B, it's calling environments B. Who called ABC now? The call is from PQR. So PQR, it's calling environments B. So PQR's B, which is 2. So 14. Update. Print A comma X, which is 14 comma 2. Printed. Printing completed, go back to the calling environment. When I go back to the calling environment, obviously this entire memory is released. They are not available anymore in the memory. Erased. Okay. Come back and continue. There is a print statement pending. What is that? Print A X B. A value is 2. X value is 1. B value is 2. Yes, this is also finished. Go to the calling environment, that is global program. So this call is finished. That's why I went to the calling environment. Now continue the statement. What is the next statement? ABC of B. So I need to jump to ABC's environment. It's a new environment because this is erased already. New environment by taking B value. B value in this is 5. In this environment B is this B. So take 5 to this environment ABC into the formal parameter. Start execution, local A. Execution A is 10. A equal to A plus X plus B. What is A? 10. What is X? Local X, 5. B, I don't have locally declared B now. Dynamic scope. We are solving dynamic scope. Calling environment B. Who is the calling environment of ABC now? The call is coming from global program. So the calling environment now for this is global. So global's B I will access. Global's B is 5. So total 20. Update. Right? So print. There is a print statement A and X. A and X are 20 comma 5. Okay, go back. Execution completed, go back. This is also finished, stop. Okay, calling environments variable we need to use. By then it might have modified, that's why. In this case it was not modified. See, when I am here, the B I used is this B2. A value is 40. Okay. This was calling environment. Calling environment was PQ. That's why. Now when I called ABC from global, it's global's B I have access to. Fine. That is the difference. But in static scope, every time it is outer block. Whether the call is from here or from here, its outer block is global. So both times I have access to global B only. So here also I used 5, here also I used 5. Because for this outer block is always global as per the code. But that was during execution, calling environment changed. It is not, this one is not like calling environment, like code is fixed. So its outer block is always fixed. That's the difference. Is it clear? Static and dynamic scope. There are a few questions on this in GATE, so we will solve them. See, we are learning recursion as a different concept, storage classes as a different concept, static and dynamic scope as a different concept, parameter passing techniques as a different concept. But there are GATE questions by combining all these 4 concepts in one question. So if you know each and every question, each and every concept clearly, even if they are combined, the way that we trace the code will not change, so we will get the right answer. Okay, in the once we discuss parameter passing techniques, there are many questions by combining concepts. Static dynamic scope plus parameter passing technique. Both are combined and questions are given on that. The same code will be given and say, if the parameter passing is static scope, parameter passing is call by value, and if the variable scope is static scope, what is the answer? Second question, if the parameter passing technique is call by reference, and if the variables are scoped dynamically, what is the answer? Two concepts are combined. You need to keep both of them in mind and then accordingly trace. The way we trace will be like this only. Okay, we don't change it. So previously when I explained, I draw the boxes here, right? That was just for explanation. But when you are solving the question, please follow this method. Please understand why I am saying if you draw boxes here, you will get wrong answers when the questions are combined with other concepts. You will get wrong answers. Okay, you don't understand whether you have to draw a box or it's like a pointer kind of. When we solve questions, you will understand. Please make it as a habit that you will solve questions like this only, so that you will get the right answer. So those who are targeting GATE, you must know dynamic scope also, but if your target is not GATE, only campus placements, then static scope is enough. But as I told you, DSA will be helpful very much for your campus placements also. Recently, I have seen some questions given by in some online exam. GATE questions are given as it is. If you have solved all GATE questions, you don't even have to trace it. You can straight away go and give the answer. The question was exactly repeated. I have seen 3-4 such questions. I don't remember which company has given the test, but I have seen GATE questions in the test paper without any modification. That's the best part. Yes, we'll solve the GATE questions now. Please access 4th file from the same Google Drive link. fourth file, static dynamic scope. See the first question. Study the following program written in a block structured language. It's like a pseudocode. Code is given. What will be printed by the write statements marked by 1 and 2 in the program if the variables are statically scoped? That is first question. Just go through the second question also. For the program given above, which means the code is same. What will be printed by the written statements 1 and 2 if the variables are dynamically scoped? So code is same. What is the answer if it is statically scoped? What is the answer if it is dynamically scoped? That's all. Okay. So first I am writing the code here. I will write solve static scope here and dynamic scope here. Where x comma y, which are integers, procedure P, n is a formal parameter which is an integer, no local variables, x is equal to n plus 2 by n minus 3. And just one line procedure. And then there is one more procedure, procedure Q. It doesn't take any parameters, but there are two local variables x and y. They are integers. Then code begins for Q. X equal to 3, y equal to 4, p of y. Okay, then write x. And then main program begins x equal to 7, y equal to 8, call Q, then write x. That's all. Code is this. So this is the actual program block. Execution starts here, ends here, begin, end. And this is procedure Q. This is procedure P. Okay, this is the code given. Now we need to solve what is the answer if it is statically scoped, what is the answer if it is dynamically scoped. Okay, I'll solve static scope here. This is static. Okay, start the global program. This is global program environment in which variables x and y are declared. So x is a variable, y is a variable. Memory is created, block. X is initialized to 7, y is to 8, so 7 and 8. Then call Q from the same environment. Finally, when I return, I need to execute write x also, but I'll do it later. By seeing the function call, I will jump to Q's environment. Okay, jump to Q's environment. No formal parameters, but there are two local variables x and y. So draw the boxes. Their names are x and y. Start execution. X equal to 3, y equal to 4. What is the meaning? Local x, if it is there, yes, it is there. So assign with 3. Y, if it is local y, yes, it is there. So initialize it with 4. Call P, procedure P with y value. What is y value in this environment? I am executing from this environment, right? So y will be from this environment only, that is 4. So it is P of 4. So jump to P's environment by taking value 4. That will be copied to the formal parameter, which is a local variable. Copied with 4. Okay? Then, no more local variables, just one line. X is equal to n plus 2 by n minus 3. N plus 2, 6 plus 2. So 4 plus 2 is 6. By n minus 3, 4 minus 3 is 1. 6 by 1 is 6. Should be assigned to x. But do I have a local x to assign 6 to it? I don't have. Right? That's when I will look at the scope. It says static scope. So, when I don't have a locally declared x, I will access outer blocks x. Who is the outer block for P? P's block is this. Who is the outer block for P? Global program. So global programs X should be assigned with 6. Global programs X is updated with 6. Updated. Execution completed, go back to the calling environment. Because the jump is from here, I will obviously come back there and continue the steps. Here there is a step pending, that is write X. Now this write X is present in which environment? The statement is present in Q's environment. So obviously this X will refer to Q's X, that is 3. Execution completed, go back to the calling environment. Because the jump is from here, I executed everything and go back. Continue, write X. Now I am in this environment. In this environment, X is this X, which is 6. So 3 comma 6 is the answer for static scope. For static scope. Then dynamic scope. Same question, dynamic scope. Again start with global environment, in which 2 variables are there, X and Y. Initialized with 7 and 8. Execution starts here, that's why. Call Q. Once I come back, I will have to execute write X also, which I will do later. Okay, jump to Q's environment. Q's environment, which means this one. There are 2 variables X and Y, so declare them. That is a declaration line, that's why. Declare them, memory gets allocated. Execute X equal to 3, Y equal to 4, which means local X, local Y. They are available, that's why they are initialized. Then call P of Y. Y means local Y, which is 4. So P of 4. So go to P's environment with 4, which is copied into the formal parameter, which is a local variable for P. Now execute X equal to n plus 2 by n minus 3. 6 by 1 is 6. Should be assigned to X. But I don't have locally declared X to assign 6. Which question I am solving now? The scope says dynamic scope. So in the dynamic scope, if there is no locally declared variable, we will access the variable of its calling environment. So calling environment's X must be updated with 6. Who is the calling environment for P now? Calling environment is from Q. From Q the call came to P. So calling environment for P is Q. So Q's X should be updated with 6. Updated. Execution completed, come back. Then write X here. Now in this case, write X is present in Q's environment. Here X means local X. Declared. Yes, 6. The value is 6. Execution completed, go back to the calling environment. So I am in global environment now. And continue, write X. In this environment, X is 7. So 6, 7 is the answer for dynamic scope. 3, 6 is the answer for static scope for the same code. Please look at the next question and try to solve it. Please do not change the method of solving. Okay, please follow the same method, because in the next concept you will understand why I am writing like this only. Okay, I have divided the environments. I have traced the code so that there will not be any confusion, even if the concepts are combined. Question number 3. For the following code, indicate the output. So the code is given. First question is static scope rule. Second question is dynamic scope rule. Two questions again. Code is same. Code for the third question is like this. Variables A and B are declared integer. Then there is a procedure P. No parameters. Begin A equal to 5, B equal to 10, and P. You don't have to write and P, and end itself is ending the procedure. Then there is a procedure Q. Also no parameters, but there are local variables here. We are A comma B integers. So begin. Call procedure P is the only statement in procedure Q. And the Q. Then the main program begin starts. A equal to 1, B equal to 2, call Q, then write A and B, that's all. So for this code, what is output if it is static scope? What is output if it is dynamic scope? So this is the actual block in which there are two more blocks. Procedure Q is one block, procedure P is one more block. Procedure Q has two local variables, but procedure P doesn't have any local variables. It has only two assignments. Here there is only one procedure called that's all. Now I will solve static scope. This is static scope. Global environment, global program, which means this one. Variables are already declared, A and B. Start execution from here, A equal to 1, B equal to 2, which means this A and this B. Call Q, okay. Jump to Q's environment. Once I come back, that's when I will execute this line. Just I kept it, okay. Call Q. So jump to Q's environment. No formal parameters, but there are two local variables A and B. Okay, but they are not initialized. Start execution, but they are not initialized. Just the procedure P is being called. Go to P's environment. This is P's environment. No formal parameters, no local variables. Only two lines of execution, that is, A must be assigned with 5, B must be assigned with 10. But do I have locally declared A and B to assign? No. So, then I will look at the scope, static scope. When I access a variable for retrieval or for assignment, okay, when I access a variable from an environment, first priority is for the locally declared, but I don't have a locally declared variable. Then static scope says it's outer blocks variable. So for procedure P, the outer block is global program. Global programs A must be assigned with 5. Global programs B must be assigned with 10. So A is 5, B is 10. Updated. Because there are no locally declared variables. Okay, come back. Procedure P execution. No pending lines after this. So this execution is also finished. Go back and continue. Print A and B. Now A and B variables are 5 and 10. In this environment, A and B are 5 and 10. They were updated already. Okay, then same question, dynamic scope. This is global environment in which there are two variables A and B assigned with 1 and 2. Call for Q, write A and B. So go to Q's environment. There are two local variables A and B declared. They are not initialized. They are just declared, and then there is a procedure called P. So jump to P's environment in which no formal parameters, no local variables. Only two lines, A equal to 5 and B equal to 10. Okay. When I want to assign value 5 to A, but there is no locally declared A. Question is dynamic scope. Dynamic scope says its calling environments A must be assigned with 5. Who is the calling environment for P now? Calling environment is Q. The call is from Q. Because of this call I jumped. So for this, calling environment is Q. So Q's A must be assigned with 5. Q's B must be assigned with 10. This is dynamic scope. Static scope is outer block, dynamic scope is calling environment. So execution completed, come back. Execution completed, go back. Continue. Write A and B. In this environment, what are A, B values? 1 and 2 only. A and B. Because write statement is in global environment, so global A and B are 1 and 2. So the output for dynamic scope is 1, 2. Static scope is 5, 10. That's all. Next question. Question number 3 is done. Then question number 4. Consider the program below. What is printed by the above program? First question static scope, second question dynamic scope. Same thing again. Program main. Sometimes they give that line, sometimes they don't even give it. You should assume this as a pseudocode, that's all. var. So there is a variable R, integer. Procedure to, there is a procedure called to, in which no parameters, no local variables, just one line, that is write R. And then there is procedure 1, in which there is a locally declared variable R, which is integer. Begin R equal to 5. Call procedure 2. End. Then main program begin starts. R equal to 2. Call procedure 2. Call procedure 1. Again call procedure 2. That's all. So this is the actual program. Program execution starts here, ends here. This is procedure 1. This is procedure 2. Again, 2 questions: static scope answer, dynamic scope answer. First, I am solving static scope. Coming to global environment, there is a variable R declared. Start execution, R equal to 2. Initialize. Call procedure 2. Of course, I need to execute procedure 1 also, then 2 also. What I do? Once I come back to this and then I continue. So first procedure call 2. It has only one line, write R, that's all. Only one line. R. But do I have locally declared R here? No. Scope says static scope. So whenever you don't have a locally declared variable, you will access its outer blocks R. So for procedure 2, outer block is global program. So global programs R you will print. Okay, so 2. Execution completed, go back. Now continue. Procedure 1. Come to procedure 1. in which there is a locally declared R, so memory is assigned. Memory is allocated. Okay? Allocated. Then R equal to 5. Yes, assignment. I have locally declared R, so assigned 5. Call procedure 2. From this environment, I am calling procedure 2. Okay, execute write R. But in this environment, do I have locally declared R now? No. We are solving static scope, so when you do not have a locally declared variable, we will access its outer blocks variable. For procedure 2, outer block is global program, so global programs R is printed. Execution completed, go back. This execution is also completed, go back. I jump from here, did this, jump here, come back, and then come back, and continue. Now there is one more procedure called for 2, procedure 2. There is only one line write R. Again R. There is no locally declared R. Static scope says outer blocks R. Outer block for this is global R. So global R is still 2. So for static scope answer is 2, 2, 2. How about dynamic scope? This is global environment in which there is a variable R declared, initialized to 2. Call procedure 2, then 1, then 2. So procedure 2. No local variables, no formal parameters, only one line called write R, that's all. Okay, execute this, write R. When I don't have locally declared R, dynamic scope says calling environments are. Who called to now? All is from this global environment. So globals R will be printed, that is 2. Execution completed, come back and continue. Once environment. Call for once environment which has locally declared variable R, this line declared. So execute R equal to 5. So local R should be assigned with 5. Call procedure 2. Call procedure 2. So jump to 2's environment and execute. Write R, which are when I don't have locally declared R, dynamic scope says calling environments are. Now the calling environment is 1 because the call is from 1. Procedure call is from 1. So calling environments are, which is 5. Execution completed, go back. This execution is also completed, go back and continue. Procedure 2. Again write R. Now locally declared R. So calling environments are. Who called? Global program called. So global programs are. Now is it clear what is static scope and dynamic scope? Static scope says outer block, dynamic scope says calling environment. If there is no locally declared variable. I understand you are learning this concept for the first time, but they are not difficult questions, right? It's a simple concept. So if you practice questions or you write your own program and then practice, trace it, you will understand. Or you solve the same questions again without seeing the solution. Then it will be clear. Next question. Question number 5. Given the following Pascal-like program segment, the variables accessible in S1 and S2 are procedure A. X and Y are declared integers, local variables to A. Then there is a procedure B, in which X and Z are local variables, they are real. And then there is a call for S1 block and the B, which means this is procedure B. This is declaration, this is like beginning. Only one statement block. S1 is a statement block. Okay, then there is a procedure C. I is a local variable declared integer. And then there is S2 block of statements and C, which means there is a begin here. Then finally end here. So C is a block here. A ends here and A started here. So in procedure A, we have B and C. Yes, it's possible. Something like inline functions. Okay, one procedure can have the definition of another procedure. It's possible in different programming languages. This is given in such a programming language. Now the question is, what are the variables that are accessible in S1 and S2? S1 and S2 are block of statements. What are the variables that you can touch here and that you can touch here, that you can write there? Obviously in S1, the variables that I can work on are obviously local variables. I can definitely work on the locally declared variables X and Z. Yes, I can access X and Z here, no doubt. When I say X, I am talking about the X which is locally declared, which means which is declared in B, not which is declared in A. So, just for the clarity purpose, I am saying X of B I can access. Also, I can access Z. Z is not present anywhere, so no confusion. Also, I can access a variable which is present in its outer block, right? By default, it is static scope. If nothing is mentioned, if the scope rule is not given, we should assume static scope as default. So, it's not only the locally declared variables, you can access the variables in its outer block also. The outer block is A, which means I can access Y, but can I access X in this? If I write a statement by using X, obviously it will access this local X. It can never ever access this outer blocks X. Which means in this S1, I cannot access X of A, but I can access Y. Yes, its outer blocks Y. Because I don't have a locally declared Y, I can access its outer blocks Y. So I can access Y also. So in S1 block, I can access Z, outer blocks Y, also X of local, X of B. That's all. I cannot touch the variables of procedure C. No, that is not possible. I cannot jump from this environment. I cannot touch the variables of other procedure. That is the rule of structured programming. Okay, coming to in S2 block of statements, what I can access? Obviously, I can use local variable declared and its outer blocks variables. Its outer blocks variables are these two, X and Y. Y is fine. X is I can access, but not this X, right? I can access this X, which means X of A. So in procedure S2, I can access X of A, I and Y. In procedure S1, I can access X of B, Y and Z. That's all. You verify the statements in the given ABCD options in S1 and S2 respectively. In S1, X of B, Z and Y in S1, and X of A, I and Y in S2. Option C. Check with option C. Whatever we have written is matching with option C. Next question. Question number 6. Consider the following program in a language that has dynamic scope. So in the question itself, we have given follow the dynamic scope and what is the output. Okay, there is a variable x declared. Question number 6. Variable x which is real. Then there is a procedure show. It has only one line, print x, that's all. And then there is a procedure small, in which there is a locally declared variable x, real. The statements are x equal to 0.125, call show. Then the main program begin, x equal to 0.25, call show and small. So the question is dynamic scope. It was mentioned in the question itself, dynamic scope. Program starts here, ends here. This is procedure small. This is procedure show. Yes, let me execute here. Global environment. Solving dynamic scope. There is a variable x. Start execution. X equal to 0.25. 0.25 is assigned to global x. Call procedure show. Then small. So first procedure show. It has only one line, print x. X, but I don't have locally declared x in show. Dynamic scope says calling environment x. So calling environment is global because the call is coming from global. So global x value is 0.25. Completed, come back and continue. Then there is a call for procedure small. Okay, jump to small environment, in which there is a locally declared variable x. Don't miss this line. If you miss that declaration, you will assume that there is no locally declared x. So don't miss that line. And then execute x equal to 0.125. I have locally declared x, so I will assign 0.125 to that. Then call procedure show. So jump to show environment. In show, execute the line print x, but I don't have locally declared x here. So calling environment x, this is the calling environment. So calling environment x is 0.125. Executed, come back. This execution is also finished, come back. Finish the program, that's it. So the output is 0.25 and 0.125. Point 0.125 is the answer. It's clear, right? Static and dynamic scope. See the last question now. Question number 7. Consider the following C program. Hash include F1, F2, F3 prototypes are given. Then there is a variable called int x, which is initialized to 10, which is global x. Then there is a main function in which int x equal to 1, x plus equal to f1, f2, f3, f4. Sorry, f2 again. Then printf x value return. Then f1 function is like this, which returns an integer. Int x is equal to 25, x plus plus, return x. Then int f2, there is a static variable now. Static int x equal to 50, x plus plus, return x. Then there is int f3, no declarations, x star equal to 10, return x. That's all. What is the output of the program? F1, F2, F3 functions. In F1 I have a local variable which is auto variable. In F2 I have a static variable. You know how static variable behaves. It gets created only in the first call, and for the second call, third call, the same variable will be used. And in F3 there is no locally declared variable, so it will try to use its outer blocks variable. For F3 outer block is global program, so global sex will be used. So using this method you need to execute this. So this is global environment. In C, global is different, main is different. Global x is 10. Okay, done. Then in the main function, this is mains environment, in which I have a locally declared x initialized with 1. Then there are statements x plus equal to, it is not x equal to, it is x plus equal to first F1 call. With F1 call, I came to F1 function and there is a locally declared variable, auto variable, initialized with 25. X plus plus, it becomes 26. Return x, which is 26, return. When I return, this environment is erased, right? Because it is auto. As I told you, its lifetime is as long as the control lies within the block in which it is declared. Once the control goes back, all the auto variables are erased. So environment of F1 is erased. It's not available anymore. Okay, then F2. Then the next call is for F2. Okay. So jump to F2 function. First line is static declaration. Okay, static variable is declared. Initialized to 50. X plus plus, it becomes 51. Then return x. So return 51. Okay, 51 is returned. But when I come back, static variable is still available. Okay, only thing is I cannot access here, but it is available. It is not dead like auto variable, because static variables memory is allocated in data section, which is available throughout the execution of the program. Okay, so it is not dead now. So come back, return with 51. Okay, then the next call is F3 call. So go to F3 function call, execute this. X star equal to 10, which means x equal to x into 10, but I don't have local x, so obviously I will use its outer blocks x, because C follows static scope. So outer block for F3 is global program, global x. 10 into 10 is 100, 100 is assigned to x. X means again global x, because I don't have local x, so it will access global x, 100. Then return x, x means global x, return 100. Okay, done. Then the last call is again F2. So jump to F2. There is a static variable declaration. Because it's a second call, you should ignore this line totally. Declaration, because it was already declared. Then x plus plus. X value was 51. Now it becomes 52 with this line. Return x. X value is 52. Return 52. Fine. So calculate that. X plus equal to, what is the total of this? 7 plus, this is 9, 229. But this is x plus equal to, which means x equal to x plus 229. What is this x? Local x. 1 plus 229 is 230. So x value is 230. Update it. And then in main function there is a statement for printf. Printf x. Printf x. X is local x, mains x, which is 230. So the answer is 230. If you miss this x plus equal to, you will write the answer as 229, and it's a fill in the blank question. By mistake, you will write it as 229 if you do not see this assignment. It's not x equal to, it is x plus equal to. So you need to verify how auto variables are behaving, how static variables are behaving. If there is no declaration, how do you access a variable? So all types of concepts are mixed. So that finished static and dynamic scope concept. The next concept in functions is parameter passing techniques. If we finish parameter passing techniques also, so functions are done. So that we can start pointers, arrays, and structures. Parameter passing techniques. As I told you, our scope of discussion is not just C programming, it is for gate, right? So we need to know the different concepts which are supported by different programming languages. So only call by value and call by reference are supported in C, but there are other parameter passing techniques also supported by different programming languages. That's why we need to learn all of them. Because the question can be, in the question they will mention, if this is the parameter passing technique, what is the answer? So you need to know the techniques supported by other languages also. And these are the 5 that we will be discussing. That is call by value. We can also call it as call by copy. That is call by value or call by copy, both are same. Second one is call by reference. But in C, we call it as call by address also. In C, we can call it as call by address also. Generally, it is called by reference only. Yes, other languages also support call by reference, like Fortran. Okay. Third one, call by value restore. Call by value restore. You can also call it as call by, wherever I use value, you can also call it as copy. Copy restore, value restore, both are same. Copy return, value return, both are same. Value result or copy result, both are same. Same name. Call by copy restore, value restore. Copy return, value return. Value result, copy result. All are same. Different names for the same technique. Then call by name, call by need. So these are the 5 parameter passing techniques. First two anyway you have used in C programming. Third one you must have used it in Oracle PLSQL. You have in parameter, out parameter, in out parameter, right? That in out parameter concept is nothing but call by value restore. These two you might not have used them, but yes, there are languages which support these two also. We will see how they behave when you call with these techniques. Okay, so these are the 5 parameter passing techniques that we need to discuss. Okay, shall we stop for the day because I need to start the concept from the scratch. Fine. Yeah, tomorrow the class is at 1 o'clock afternoon. Please don't miss the class and please come on time. Okay. The class is at 1 o'clock, so at least we need to start by 1:50. 1:05, not 1:50. Every time we are almost delaying it by 15 minutes. So physical classes anyway we are coming late. At least for virtual classes you should be on time, right? Yes. We'll meet again at tomorrow 1 o'clock. If you have any doubts, you can ask me now. Any questions?